Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're still talking about Amber Guyger in light of some recent developments that she is appealing her conviction and sentence of 10 years in prison for murdering Botham John. We're also talking about the latest development with the Dallas DA's contempt hearing for allegedly violating the judge's orders of not speaking to the media, which apparently he did before trial started. And he's trying to get the judge who was on this case recused so she doesn't make the decision on this contempt hearing. A lot of messy stuff happening in the light of what ultimately happened. But we want to go now to when the Amber Guyger jurors, at least some of them, spoke to ABC News. If you haven't seen this, this is something you don't always get a chance to see. Jurors, what were they thinking during the course of deliberations? Let's find out. Okay, I'm here with trial attorney Ann Bremner. Ann, great to have you here. I remember during the course of this trial, when we heard Amber Guyger on the stand said, "I intended to kill him." That
Right.
I felt was the end of the whole case. And we just heard it from the jurors that was the end of the whole case. What would have happened if she didn't say that? What would have happened if she said she went into that apartment, she took out her gun, and as a result of, I don't know, too much adrenaline, maybe an accident, the gun went off? Would we have seen a different result? Because again, intent to kill, intent to kill. She said it on the stand. Everything else didn't really matter. I'm curious what you think.
Well, exactly. You're exactly right. It was that moment when she said, "I intended to kill him." That is murder. I couldn't believe that she said it. I couldn't believe, like we've talked about before, that her lawyer let her say it or didn't, advise her, don't, on the ultimate, issue in the case, confess. So the juror said, well, she said she intended to kill him. That's what the jury instruction said. The judge told us what the law is, which is intent to kill means murder. End of story.
And let me follow up that. Why do you think 10 years? I was talking to Jessica Ramirez about it. Why do you think 10 years was the sentence?
I think we saw at the end, Jesse, of all the sympathy that kind of poured out to her from the judge, from some of the staff, court staff, and even from the family of the victim. And so I think 10 years, I thought it should be a lot more, frankly, but 10 years seemed to be appropriate given some of those sentiments. You have to think some of those jurors felt some of those sentiments as well.
It was a difficult case, very difficult case for this jury. Even if it took them a short amount of time to come to a decision, not an easy case to sit through any which way and ultimately decide what would be the fate for this woman. I want to go now to the attorney or the attorneys who are representing Botham Jean's family. Let's hear more about that. Jessica, in your opinion, was race an issue here? We hear from the attorney saying that, it's about they're trained to use deadly force too quickly. Is that because of who she saw in her apartment? Would it have been different if it was a young female in her apartment? Would it have been different if it was a older 87-year-old white gentleman in her apartment? I mean, you tell me how much that played into her decision to, in her words, open fire, intend to kill the target.
Well, we'll never know, but I think that you can't mask what's really going on, right, in the world and in the United States, and we know that we have race issues, so maybe so, and I think that that's in the back of everybody's minds, but I thought that it was funny when we were listening to the jury, I don't think that listening to the jurors that were interviewed, race didn't come up in their deliberations, or at least what they were interviewed in their interviews. So is it something that's happening? Sure. I mean, this is why we're having the issues, and we'll never really know.
And I want to turn to you. I'm going to ask you a question I was asking Jessica about. There's a big development that Amber Guyger's attorneys have filed a notice of appeal. It's the first step when you want to make an appeal. Do you think that that is the appropriate action? And look, I said this to Jessica, and I'll say this to you. I get it. From a legal arena, if I'm her attorney, that's what you have to do. That's what you got to do. It's the next step. I don't care what the case is about. You have to do it. If there's a chance, you do it. But on the other hand, this is unlike any other kind of case. And when she got on the stand, broke down, admitted what she did was wrong, regretted every single second of it, couldn't people look at this and say, you're fighting your conviction? Shouldn't you accept your fate? You got 10 years. That's a pretty good deal. Why are you fighting it? What's your take on that?
Well, it's almost like a slow guilty plea. I mean, she admitted it. And so it's kind of, there's three things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and you can't withdraw a guilty plea. I mean, it was like a guilty plea in a lot of ways. And she got a pretty, I think, lenient sentence given what the terms could have been in her jurisdiction. Yeah, her own lawyer said this is just kind of by rote. This is what you do. I mean, it's not that often as a lawyer you say, like, usually say, we're going to win, we're appealing, we're in it to win it. But the comment was kind of perfunctory. This is just what we're going to have to do. And I'm sure your viewers and listeners are sophisticated enough in watching trials to know that appeals are all about the law and rarely about the facts.
Let's talk about that. From everything you've seen so far, and it might be a difficult question because you didn't see every aspect of the trial and take down every aspect of an objection or anything like that. But would there be grounds for a successful appeal to overturn the conviction, to get a new trial, something like that, based upon what you've seen?
Not from what I've seen, Jesse. I think usually we see reversals based on inappropriate jury instructions. But in criminal law, we know they're pretty standard out of the pattern criminal jury instructions. So it's not that often a judge goes out on a limb with some kind of bizarre instruction that could result in reversible error. And I didn't see any rulings from this judge that I thought were controversial. I know what she did at the end was controversial, but that was long after the evidence came in and the verdict.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and so we'll wait and see what happens there. I want to just go back to this attorney who is being potentially held in contempt. Chances he gets held in contempt for doing this, for holding or for speaking to the media against the judge's orders, and if he does get held in contempt, what could the punishment be?
Probably some type of fine. That's it. And this happened a while back, so I'm not sure if he will be held in contempt. I mean, I'm thinking if a judge would have been really mad if something would have happened then, not later.
But you agree that the Judge Tammy Kemp should recuse herself, that she shouldn't be the one making this decision on the contempt issue?
Just to keep things clean, I think so. It would be better for her and just for the legal system. Okay, well, more to talk about with Botham Jean and Amber Guyger. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more.